This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
The survey conducted monthly had consistently registered a low response from his ideal demographic, that being 18 to 24-year-olds. The problem was his format. He was a late-night talk-back radio host in an era where it wasn't needed. The kids had YouTube, they had TikTok. No one chose radio if they could avoid it. Not even the long-haul truckers when there were audiobooks and podcast options aplenty. Management had seen him earlier in the week and suggested changes in the nature of his work. They assured him that they still loved his role here at 88.5 Tomorrow FM, but perhaps he could now be his own producer as well as on-air talent. He shrugged at the suggestion, despite it meaning losing Jess after 13 years. She was a good producer, loyal. He wasn't aware of the extent of the workload she performed until he had to stand in for her on a nightly basis. Shortly after discovering he would be fulfilling 2 roles, he was then required to perform vacuum duty on the aisles around the sales department. Management said it was cyclical and that everyone did their bit. Damon wondered if it was because he did the night shift and they had recently let go of the night cleaning contractors. "So what happens to Jess?" he asked at the time. "We have other plans for her," management assured him. He discovered later that those plans amounted to a reduced redundancy that was only a quarter paid out. She would have to litigate for the rest. The hour clicked over to 9, and the sun had set on the city. Those who worked the night shifts, he hoped, were tuning in. He looked over at the switchboard that had been left over from the Hot 40 countdown program. No one online, no one calling up, no one wanting to be on air. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's knife o'clock. You're listening to the Knife Cutter, the city's only controversial late-night host. Don't bother shifting over to the other AM stations. What are they going to give you? A cold case of who gives a toss, that's what, he said, conscious not to cuss. He sat alone in the on-air booth. No more Jess to bounce off between ad breaks and song interruptions. He looked over to a hot cup of 2-minute noodles cooling off on the mixing desk, his dinner. And don't forget, this is Free Call Friday, where you can punch in the number to this booth and get on and debate with me anything that's on your mind. That's right, no screening, just a pure on-air scream fest. What's that number, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. Call or text us on 1-300-882-675. Here's the monkeys. Uncle with "Doesn't Someone Want to Be Wanted?" It's 8 minutes past the hour on the Knife Cutter. He removed his earphones and lowered the in-studio volume to the music as he put his feet up on the mixing desk and reclined in his chair. He blew on the hot steam of his 2-minute noodles before scooping a chunk with the plastic-supplied fork and shoveled as much as he could into his mouth before the song ended. The switchboard began to light up and a number appeared. It was marked with a red X, a serial pest who must have called other programs throughout the day, causing other producers to mark the number on the unwritten never-to-answer list. Damon put the noodles down and put his headphones back on. He tapped the touchscreen and answered the call. "This is Knife Cutter. You calling for Free Call Friday?" he asked. The line was quiet. "Hello?" he asked again. He could hear heavy breathing. "You the Knife Cutter?" the caller asked. "I'm his producer. How can we help you?" Damon asked. "You sound just like him," the voice said. "I get that a lot," Damon mock laughed. "How can I help you?" "Well, I wanted to call up because it's Free Call Friday." "That's right, it is." The caller began giggling incessantly. "There is a bomb in the old bank building in the middle of Cooper Street, right across the road from the Central Bank, the financial district." Damon threw his feet off the desk and swiveled round to face the screen. He killed the song mid-chorus and switched his microphone on. He placed the caller on air. "You're on the air, mister. Who is it I'm speaking with?" Damon flashed the glory before his eyes. The views that would amass when the call went viral in real time. This was the night he had waited for his entire career. "The messenger is not important, but the message is," the caller said. "And what is the message?" Damon asked. "We all live by a code, the haves and the have-nots. No one deviates away from the code." "Why is that?" the caller asked. "Are you asking me?" Damon asked. No, I'm just pointing out that it's strange that we only have one system and no one can break away from that system. Are you talking about the banking system? I'm talking about the prison that is our lives. We have to fit into a certain mold, otherwise we get rejected. We're like defective fruit in a perfect supermarket. If we don't have money, we can't get money. You can't get a suit without money. And without a suit, you can't get a job interview. And without an interview, you can't make money. And without money, you can't buy a suit, and so on and so on. And do you see where I'm going with this? Damon grew irritated. He remembered the threat of a bomb going off, or had he misheard? Was this a phony call? Had he placed a madman on the air? You said there was a bomb in the old bank building on Cooper Street across the road from the central bank? Damon asked. No, I didn't, the voice said. Yes, you did, Damon reminded. Before we went on air, you said there was a bomb in the old bank on Cooper Street and it was about to go off. You just said that, the voice insisted. No, before we went on air. Damon yelled into the mic. So I didn't say it on air? The voice wondered. No, you said it before I put you on air, Damon said. So you can't prove that I said that. This is the first I'm hearing of a bomb, the voice insisted. Damon's face grew red. He had just put a madman on the air without corroborating his story. His one shot at glory would now accelerate into ridicule. He knew one thing for sure. This would be his last night on radio. He refused to say anything more into the mic. Finally, the mystery caller broke the ice. I'm kidding, the voice reassured. I did in fact say just that. A distant rumble shook the windows of the studio. Damon stood from his chair and looked out the window of the 20-story view onto the distance where the city's CBD was illuminated by the nightlights of the skyscrapers and an enormous fireball that perforated through the ground up. Jesus, Damon said to himself. He looked down to the caller board to see that his mystery caller had hung up, and the switchboard was full of first-time callers. He didn't know where to begin. He didn't know how to proceed with the show. He watched as the fireball spread throughout the CBD off in the distance. The silence on air was broken by an emergency public service announcement commercial that told listeners not to panic.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.